Well, thank you very much for coming and doing that display. Can you tell us a little about it? It's called a quadrille, I believe. Why is it called a quadrille?
It's called a quadrille because there are four horses that are performing together, and that's the quad part. And the drill part, it's from French, but it essentially means four horses performing in a dressage program. So nothing fancy. It's just French.
I see. And it does look like dancing. I love the parts where the horses are moving quite slowly under control.
That would have been the passage.
Mhm.
Uh, that we obviously had to practice quite a while to get all the timing in order and have everyone pass and cross at the same time. This quadrille is kind of special. It was inspired, believe it or not, by the opening to the musical Hair, where there's there's a pair of horses, a black horse and a white horse, because it's all about different things going on at that particular time. But there's a wonderful sequence where there's a black dressage horse and a white dressage horse performing together, and that was kind of the start of this particular quadrille.
Right. Now, something that perhaps we ought to explain for our audience. I think some people would actually like to know what dressage is. They're not sure what dressage is.
Well, dressage is the epitome of training. It's what you use to train the horse to collect and to perform different sorts of gaits and movements at the rider's command. And there's a whole long process to it. You start out with the horse at about 4 or 5, and you move him through until he reaches the point where he dances something like a quadrille, although by himself. Dressage is one of the Olympic horse sports, and many people are very fond of it. It's spectacular to watch when well performed.
And at Olympic standard, of course, it is very well performed. Um, there will. And Matthew, you should be able to hear me and Honey. Can you hear me and Honey, everyone? We're the two who are talking. Can you hear me, audience?
Oh,
Oh,
is is that better? Mm,
okay. Can you boost your voice a bit in World? Actually, you can all
mm.
probably boost Honey's voice. If you click on the loudspeaker, sorry, on the headphones, you can turn Honey's voice up. You can move it up on your slider. But I tell you what we'll do to help. Maybe if we could all move right forward till we're close to the audience. Okay, do you want to say something now and see if that helps?
Better? I don't naturally have a naturally loud voice.
Is that a bit better?
Right. Okay, good,
Good.
good.
And it also gives you a chance to see these really beautiful horses. Good.
Good.
So it's actually in Second Life, in real life, of course, dressage is a partnership, a high level partnership between horses and riders. And the performances you do, it's the same here in Second Life because the horses are avatars as well as the riders. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And it very much is a partnership and a friendship. I've had Dancer in my stable now for 18 months, and I see him and I train him every day, and it very much is a partnership. Likewise, Calypso has also had her horses for much longer, and you form a friendship with them. And it's enjoyable and pleasurable, and it's absolutely something everyone should get involved with.
Now, I know that one of the ways you can help that, Chips, I've found, is if you take your draw distance down as low as it will go to about 16, then relog and then put your draw distance up to the usual distance, you'll find the horses will snap in. But that's a bit drastic. You could try clicking on them first. We had to do that when we were filming the Black and Mirror because, of course, these horses are the ones who appeared in Black and Mirror pulling the carriages around Babbage. They've been doing. They're very film, or they're very photogenic. These horses, and they are film stars.
And very professional at it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't hear that. What was that?
Uh-huh.
Is someone talking to you?
Yeah, she is. She has a very soft voice. Well, obviously they're Second Life horses, but they're also avatars. They're rig mesh, and these particular horses are by Water Horse. So if you wanted to get them, they're on Marketplace. The horses that we have been heavily customized. You know, they have special manes and special gaits, and they all have special coats. And it's like any avatar. You know, some people really want a unique look. I have Arabians in my stable, it, and so for whatever reason, I have gray horses. Calypso usually has bay horses in her stable. That's just kind of the way it works out. You know, you can really pick and choose your color.
I'm going to let people ask questions as they seem to be happy to do that.
Okay, no, not a problem.
But if you can sort of say what the question is as you answer it, so that will pick out for the recording.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I'm good with that. No, these horses are by a woman named Tyrion Slade. We have nothing whatsoever to do with them. That didn't sound right. But no, we don't make these horses, although we do make animations for them. We had a special animation that we performed where the horses were sliding sideways and their legs were crossing over. That's called a half pass, and we actually created that animation for the horses so that they could complete that part of a dressage program. Um, there are other horses that can perform dressage. The key thing is the rigging has to be correct and it has to enable the horse to articulate as a real horse would articulate. So you can use a water horse, or there's another brand out there called a hoofit that is also articulated correctly so that the front and the hind legs work correctly.
So, do you have a sort of fixed community together that you do events and come together quite often and perhaps even share areas, public areas?
Oh, yes, absolutely, we do. Dressage in SL is about a year old. We first met Saffia last year when they came out and filmed Dancer and I riding a lower level dressage performance. And since then, it's really grown and expanded, and we now have 3 Olympic horse sports that we support, which are eventing, dressage, and stadium jumping. We have weekly competitions in stadium jumping and in eventing, and we have 3 different levels for horses to compete at: novice, intermediate, and advanced. And they compete for ribbons and glory and all that good stuff. We have an award ceremony once a week where everyone picks up their ribbons that they've won for the week previously, and they get gift cards, and they just, they have a good time with it. We have a formal competitive stable program that anyone with a horse avatar or a rider with somebody who wants to be a horse avatar is welcome to join. There's no charge for that. Um, People really form tight friendships and they have a good time doing it. And what we find is that we have people there at all hours of the day and night, jumping and competing and exchanging tips and just, really having a good time with it, which is what it's all about. And then once a week on Sundays, we have our what we call a dressage meet, which is a clinic where we work on different things. And for the last month or so, we've been working on this particular quadrille and making sure that the timing is correct and that everything is working pretty well.
Madison has asked if children can participate. I'd love to see a Second Life pony club. I must say, with children learning to ride, I think that could be great fun.
Well, we can't have children in our particular sim. We have an adult sim,
Oh,
so that presents kind of an issue. One of the projects that I'll be working on this year is actually working on putting together pony jumps and things that are appropriately sized for the Shetland. It's not an area that I've been focused on primarily because I'm really interested in the full size dressage horses. But it's kind of an interesting thing there.
it's true. Kid avatars aren't actually disallowed from adult sims, although children, teenage people with avatars are, obviously, but yeah, kid avatars aren't necessarily disallowed. Nevertheless, it could be quite fun to set up a pony club in a moderate sim.
Well, it's something that we could entertain. It's just not something that would work in our particular sim. But that's because it's supported by my store and like that. So
But yes, it could be part of camp. I
I,
must say, I would love to try eventing. It has always looked such fun. Actually, going out and riding the jumps in the middle of the countryside. Is it possible? One of the things, of course, you see a lot with eventing is people actually coming to grief and falling off. Can that happen in your kind of eventing?
it's uh, it's a different kind of coming to grief. When we were doing our warm up round, I ended up sliding off the end of our court, and we have a water edge parcel, and so I'm not exactly sure where I ended up, but everyone else ended up where they were supposed to be, and we ended up somewhere out on the road or in the water or something. But so coming to grief in Second Life looks a little different. You're not going to hurt yourself physically,
Mm.
but if something transpires and and things don't queue correctly or you lag, it's very possible to end up someplace you really didn't intend on going. Like for example, slam through a building. So yes and no. We look at lag as being analogous to a horse shying or a situation happening. It happens, you learn to recover from it. And part of learning to actually ride these horses around, it is something of a challenge. You have to actually learn to handle your riding system. Everything that we did earlier, as far as like the movement forward and the majority of the gait changes were handled through the riding system. Some of the figures were handled by the horses, like the pirouettes and the half passes.
Wow, so they were actually controlling the movements and staying so close together. That is incredible control in Second Life.
It does take a lot of practice. I mean, real life dressage takes many years of practice to get good. In SL, of course, that time is greatly compressed, but you still need to put in your time and do your homework.
Mm.
And it's a big part of what we do with horses. Is we spend a lot of time practicing these different things, making sure that the gaits are accurate, performing at the markers when you're supposed to. It's just so much fun.
It really is wonderful. I love to watch the horses because they are so professional, and they also are terribly good with carriages as well. I mean, in real life, horses tend to be carriage horses or riding horses, but here in Second Life they can combine both roles, can't they?
Yes, absolutely. It really comes down to what you want to focus on. I mean, I can't jump to save my life. It doesn't mean that I don't maintain the jump courses and that we haven't created them to FEI standards. But I personally, I'm really not a jumper.
Mm.
Calypso here, on the other hand, is quite the jumper, and her horses are just exceptional at it. Dancer and I, we're driving dressage kind of people. So,
Mm.
there's a little something for everyone out there. Whatever it is that they want to do, jumping, dressage, driving. There's just a lot of things. We don't we have raced, but uh it's not really something that I personally am all about. These horses can be raced. It can be done, and they're usually quite fast and quite good at it. It really depends on what your area of interest is. Um, at our exhibit this year, we actually have a tiny, tiny little stadium jumping setup and an equally small eventing course where people are welcome to come and check it out and see if they can talk one of the horses into giving them a round over it. Some of the horses are equal opportunity about sharing their back, and others not so much. But it's always a lot of fun. It's fun to watch them. It's fun to watch them to compete, and I would certainly invite anyone to come drop by and check it out.
I think Racer was here earlier. Is Racer still here? Because I was thinking of the snail races, and when they have the big sim races, you could perhaps have point to point events where people sort of race and jump at the same time.
Well, we actually have something very similar to that now with our weekly competitions.
Mm.
We have a regular eventing course that's set up, and it's just set up all the time.
Mm.
Our stadium jumping courses we switch out depending on the level because they range in complexity and difficulty from very easy to just monstrously hard.
Mm.
Um, so for the novices, they have a chance of actually taking home a blue ribbon if they put in a little time on it.
Mm.
Something that we're looking at for the next year is we would actually like to be able to do a week-long horse event. So that's something that we'll be looking at where conceivably we could do racing in addition to our usual Olympic FEI kind of sports.
Mm. You were saying that there are Shetlands, so there are already Shetland ponies, are there?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. There are Shetlands, there are drafters. We're actually riding what's called a light horse. Light because it's not heavy like a drafter.
Hmm.
It's kind of like the opposite of. These are what you think of when you think of quote unquote horse. You think of a light horse rather than a drafter or a pony.
Yes, yes. So, did I'm going to ask a very personal question here. Do horses and riders often switch? Have you as riders had experience of being horses, and have horses had experience of being riders as well? Or do you tend to stay very firmly in one or the other role?
Well, that is as ever an individual kind of a thing. Personally, I don't. I do have the horses for development purposes, but by and large, I'm really more comfortable being the rider and let's face it, being the boss. Whereas other people do, they do change up. They do slip into four legs, and sometimes they'll switch back and forth. It really depends on the relationship that you've created. To be a horse requires a certain level of trust. Trust that your rider is not going to do something stupid like treat you like an SUV or run you up and down in terrain or actually want to spend time with you, which is always the big one. They're kind of like pets almost. Although I certainly wouldn't treat my horses like pets, but some people do. My horses are really a partnership. I spend a lot of time with them. I really enjoy the time that I do spend with them.
So, does anyone here have any more questions for the horses? Is there anything else you'd like to know about this? I see we've actually got some horses in the audience. Have they been part of your stable, or are they new horses finding out about you?
Oh, you know what? I have my draw distance down so
Oh,
very
right.
low.
Okay.
They might be. I really don't know. CB, yes, absolutely. We always welcome spectators. That was to CB, he asked. Um, there's we have a regular Sunday night event dressage meet, and that's at 6 p.m. SLT. The jumping competitions go on over a period of 2 days, and anyone is welcome to drop into our sim and hang out and watch the horses. Just keep out of the run paths because they do get very, very competitive, and they're really they'll try not to run over you, but.
So I was going to ask about the tack. Your horses are wearing the most beautiful tack. Does that come as part of the water horse thing, or do you acquire tack individually?
Tack is actually something that you purchase on your own. The water horse doesn't currently come with tack. On the other hand, it's like anything else. There's a wide assortment of choices out there. We're currently sitting here in double bridles and dressage saddles, and that's of course something that I produce through my business, Ladies Pleasure, which has a huge range of tack for all the sizes and makes of horses.
It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, children can ask questions too,
Yeah, there's that. Yes, of course.
especially if there's going to be a keen men group who'd like to learn to ride.
Well, there are various places out there where people can learn how to ride horses. Um, it's very variable. Dressage and SL is very focused. We're very focused on one particular thing. I myself don't ever see teaching children, but that's just me. I'm very horse centric, very focused on my horses. But there are places out there where people do teach how to ride these wonderful avatar horses. They have role play events and things of that nature.
The detail in the tack is wonderful, but so too is the detail in the rider's clothes.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Ladies Pleasure, we're full service. These what we are wearing today are called shad bellies, and that is the formal dressage dress that dressage riders are supposed to wear with the little top hat and the spurs. That's all FEI mandated clothing. The shad belly that is about waist length with the towels and the white breeches, and of course white gloves at the higher levels, so that the judges can see what the rider's hands are doing.
This is fantastic. Now, we're coming towards the top of the hour, and I'm sure the next talk will want to come in and set up. So I'm going to say, shall we have one more display of the quadrille?
We'd be happy to ride that for you. Yeah, we'd be happy to ride that for you.
Thank you. I'd love to see that again.